Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for this episode 2 of the Zero to Hero Challenge here on Maizy Lou Farms with me, Farmer Murphy. Well, I just finished having a spot of lunch here at the Conductor's Cafe you can see behind me, and pretty darn good food, I must say. So we now have a place to eat and a place to sleep. So we're in pretty darn good shape. I was worried we might have to get by on gas station food, but nope, that is not the case. And it's actually pretty conveniently located for us. If we run down here, there's a little bit of an industrial area. There's the shop, and there's the bench where we got off the bus. So it's in a pretty handy location. So let's run across here, and I have something to show you. And there it is there. There is something on the back of my tractor that you have not seen before. And the reason that is there is because Farmer Murphy is a dumb grass without the gur. Just trying to keep it family friendly. I'm sure you all know what I really mean. Uh, if, at the end of last episode, you may recall we were looking at this weeder here or this one here, and I decided to purchase this one without really reading the fine print. And you know what's really aggravating? When I was doing the editing, I actually pointed it out earlier on in the episode. This is a hoe. It is not a weeder. And on this map, you can't do weeding contracts with hoes. I know on some maps you can, but this one you can't. You need an actual weeder. So I actually had to turn around and sell that, and I took a $700 loss on it because that's just the way it is. You can't get all your money back. So that was a $700 mistake. And I ended up doing a standard lease on this item here. Um, Now, I kind of, after the fact, was thinking, I wonder if I should be allowing myself to do that. Because if we go and look at the details here on this item, if I lease it, um, we paid basically $2,200, almost $2,300, but I can turn it back in and I do not have to pay the $450 monthly fee to hang on to it. So I can get out of that just by turning it in. So we don't want to do that. If we go to the hire purchase here, let's say we'll set it up like we did on our other ones here. We'll do a 3-year deal on it because it's not that expensive. So now at in this scenario, I would be committing to this 900 under option 3, $960 a month that I have to pay every month. And the only way out of that is if I paid the $48,060 less any monies I've put towards it. But there's no way to easily get rid of that $960. I just have to buy the item out, if that makes sense. So kind of doing a standard lease is a get out of jail free card in a sense, because I can get out of the lease payment. And that's exactly why I leased it, because I thought, man, we only had a couple contracts, but they were big enough and the fields were big enough that I, could justify leasing it and then just turning it in when it's done. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, if I should allow myself to still use the in-game leasing when it suits me, or if you want to see me lease everything with the higher purchase mod, that leasing, kind of let me know. I just haven't settled that in my own mind if I should be. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's cheating the system because we are allowed to lease, but if I should be, allowing myself to do that. But anyways, it's done. We can't do anything about it this time, but that's what I did. And just one final thing we'll look at here. If we look at this higher purchase thing, for example, something of significance like this sprayer, we're paying $1,700 a month. Right now, I'd have to give them $126,000. Then I would owe the sprayer because that takes into account basically the down payment. And that's the only way I could get rid of this because I can't go and borrow money. Say take a loan out, buy the item out, then sell it and pay the loan off. I can't do that. So if I want to get rid of any payments, got to have the cash on hand. So that's why it's a little bit more tricky. I'm committing to pay whatever that purchase price was initially in full, eventually, either over time or by buying it out. If that all makes sense, hopefully it does. So that's I guess the bad news part of our program here. Let's go in actually and look because I've got to collect these contracts, which will help our money. So this was the baling one we did with our square baler for 16,000. So that's pretty nice. Then these are the two weeding ones for 5,300 and for basically 8,500. So that now brings us up to, you know what? We'll go and look here in a second. Well, let's take a look at these contracts first. Well, you know what? Those spraying ones are still sitting there. So is the stone picking, but we've got fertilizing ones. That seems to be a no-brainer for us right now. We're going to grab these three fertilizing ones and then may entertain this cultivating one here. Which field is that? 15 there. We'd have to get ourselves a cultivator for it, but we don't need to do anything for these ones. And there's $26,000 there. So we are going to take those right now. Okay. And let's just open up the shop. That's the best place to see the money. It shows up in nice big bold letters there. So we're at 60 grand. So I think before we started that last process, weren't we at 52? I think it was something like that. So we're actually 8,000 ahead on those contracts, and we've got a baler. Well, I guess that's all we got, didn't we? We were supposed to have a baler and a weeder, but we don't. We had a baler and two hoes, one of which we had no use for. Oh, goodness. Now, I did take a picture of those, the baler and this weeder in action. You know what? I'll do those spraying contracts off camera. We'll come back and we will do show a little bit of the spraying. We can see where we're at fertilizer wise, what we've used, and I can show those pictures then. So I will see you out on the field with the sprayer, which, if you're wondering where it is, I just tucked it in behind the shop here out of the road because I actually had parked it right in the way last time. So anyways, I'll take care of this spraying business and I'll meet you back in the field on the last contract. So we'll see you then. Well, I've just started work on the last of the three spraying contracts that we had. I did take a quick look at the contracts menu before I started. There has been one new contract added, hoeing contract. And I do have a plan regarding those weeding, spraying contracts for weeds. I think we're going to go ahead and take those because I don't think we're going to get any new contracts of that type until we do those ones. And I think financially we'll be at the point where it won't hurt us too much. I think, if I remember correctly, that these spraying contracts we're doing right now will actually pay for the herbicide. It's that $25,000 initial hit this herbicide that really hurts, and the contracts I think are only worth like $10,000 or $11,000. So, but that herbicide, once we buy it, should go a long ways. But we are kind of running out of time here today. It's getting very close to 3 o'clock here in game. So our day and our month is winding down here on us. And of course, we'll lose access to all those contracts that are in the list now once midnight arrives. And we'll get a new set. Anyways, I'll finish this up. I will meet you back at the shop and we will go over our finances and see if it makes sense for us to do those weeding contracts at this point. So I'll catch up with you in just a little bit. Well, made it back to the shop after completing those spraying contracts. You probably noticed that the sprayer is no longer on the trailer. What you most likely didn't notice is the trailer is no longer connected to the truck. And that's because when the two are connected together, they creep ahead ever so slowly, but they do move. But if you disconnect them, there's no problem with them moving at all. Now I'm using this truck on Monteith, pulling the grain trailers with it, and I'm not seeing that issue. So it's something between this truck and trailer, or I don't know if the map is in the mix. But anyways, I just thought I'd give you a heads up. The simple fix is just disconnect it, and then they don't move. But if you leave them hooked up, you might not find them where you left them, depending how long a time you leave them. Um, anyway, so the reason that I've taken the sprayer off is we are going to reconfigure our spray system here from fertilizer to herbicide, and we're going to do those other spraying contracts that are in the list. But first, let's go in here and look at the shop menu because I find it shows the balance up in fairly bold, large font. So if you're watching on a phone, it'd be easier to see there. So you can see we are currently at $60,000. So we bounce out of here and over into our contracts menu, and we can collect the 3 fertilizing contracts we finished. So field 21 for $4,100, field 30 for $7,800, and field 7 for $15,200. And while we're here, we might as well go over and we're going to take this little baling contract. We'll accept that. And we are going to take these 2 spraying contracts. Now they're worth about 12,000, I think. Yeah. And that's not too bad, but we're going to have to spend 24 grand buying herbicide. So that stings a little bit. But I don't think until we do these 2 contracts, we're not going to get any other herbicide contracts in. So that's my thinking there. Now we'll bounce back into the shop here. See our money's up at 87,000, and if we go down to where our spraying consumables are, there we can see there is our herbicide concentrate, 24,000 bucks, 1,000 liters. Now it's interesting that we've got such a high volume of herbicide, and yet the fertilizer only comes in 200-liter pallets. I would have thought that might have been reversed, seeing as the volume of fertilizer you use is quite a bit more than herbicide, I think. Especially true of when we run precision farming, but hey, it is what it is. So we only need 1 tote, and there are a few different brands you can choose from. Actually, looks like quite a few. We'll go with Enlist. I've heard that name at least, so we'll buy that. Alrighty. So now we're back down to just a little ahead of where we started out when we came back to the shop. So, all right. So now we need to get this business reconfigured. So let me jump in the truck here. We'll reattach our trailer. And if I swing us across this way, and kind of line it up with that building there. Now I can definitely see it on my screen moving ahead. The wheels don't turn, but the whole vehicle is moving ahead ever so slightly. Don't know if you can see it on yours, but it's definitely moving. So we need to unload the fertilizer concentrate, and we will go over here and put in our concentrated herbicide, and we'll load that up. Actually, we can turn the HUD on here and we can see, yep, it's actually loaded. So you can see it's 260 liters it took. So we can fill our mixer up 4 times from that tote. Actually, you know what? We'll just leave that on. I think we're going to need it here again in the not too distant future. Let's run over here towards our sprayer. We have lots of water on board, so we don't need to worry about that. Set up something like this. Okay, so we're on the deck, so we can unfold our ramps. And then we need to move to our mixer, and we can put out our putting out our pipe is what it's called in the menu. So we can load our sprayer up. We run over here to our sprayer and we get it fired up, and we will unload the fertilizer. And so now that is a tote. Oops, sorry about that. That is a tote of mixed fertilizer. So that won't go back into our spray trailer. That will just go directly into our sprayer. And if we come over here, we should be able to just drive over this, and it should fill. It's like auto magic. Oh, did I go too far? I might have. Try that again. There, it's the first beam is what we want. That loads it up. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, so I'll get our sprayer loaded up here, and we'll head to the field, and we'll do a little weed spraying. And I owe you some picture-in-picture from actually last episode. I was supposed to show it, and I forgot it, so we'll catch up with that. And that's from the last batch of contracts we did at the end of last episode. So I'll get this all organized, and I will meet you at the field. See you in a little bit. Well, we're down at the last field that we need to spray, and I have discovered a couple more things about this trailer. One is if you connect, well, I was going to say a base game truck, but for sure the International or the Plains and Prairie pack to it, it will not creep ahead. So it's definitely something between this truck and this trailer that seems to be causing that issue. And secondly, when I went to the other field, I had a very similar setup to this. The only difference, instead of the hose reel in here, I had this soluble fertilizer in there. And this thing was moving around like crazy. And when I got to the field, my truck actually went spinning across the field and ended up on its lid out there. So I was doing some testing. That's why I tried a different truck to see if it was this truck and trailer that was doing that. But no, surprisingly, it seemed to be putting the fertilizer here in the cage. I don't know if it's because when you put this cage on, there's no straps that are activated in that area. But it definitely didn't like it in any event. But doing it this way, it seems to be happy enough. So this pallet is just strapped in front of our sprayer. Our sprayer is small enough and deck is large enough that it doesn't have an issue. So just thought I'd pass that information along. But we should get in and get this last field sprayed up here. And then we can look and see what else we're going to do. Let's jump in here, get her fired up. You know what? I'm going to put this on just so we can see the lines a little easier. There we go. Grab a line, turn the sprayer on, put on cruise control. We're on automatic there for a minute. So you can see we have, oh, and I'm supposed to put picture in picture on, aren't I? So let me zoom out here so we got room for those to show up. Yeah, swing it around here. There we go. And away we go again. So you can see we are at 94% full. Oh, I didn't grab the line. Silly Farmer Murphy. So we haven't used much herbicide at all. And as you may recall from that one IBC of concentrate, we can fill our mixing unit 4 times. And from one full mixing unit, we can fill our sprayer 5 times. So that's enough concentrate to fill our sprayer 20 times. And we've done 2 reasonably sized fields and not used much herbicide at all. So that is going to go a long ways for us. It'll be some time before we need to buy any more of that, I'm sure. Fertilizer, though, we'll go through a little bit quicker for sure. Now these contracts go fairly quickly, but the time is still slipping away. It's after 3:30 now. Now, last time I looked, the best contracts for us that were sitting there were 2 cultivating contracts. I think they're worth, one was 12 and one was 16, I think. I was looking, there is a cultivator that theoretically we should be able to pull with our tractor that'll make those viable contracts for us. But I just really didn't want to increase our monthly commitment. But if we want those contracts, that's probably what we're going to have to do. But there's usually, a fair number of cultivating contracts that come up. I think this is what we want right here. No, there must be another one over here. I'm thinking, yeah, right there. Line on go. That large stone picking one is there still too. Getting a little late in the day, I think, to be starting that one. And we'd need to lease a fair bit of equipment for that. We need not only the stone picker but the trailer too. And then what are we going to pull the trailer with? Our truck? I suppose we could, but I'd rather not. Now, because we don't have precision farming in, this doesn't look any different than spraying fertilizer. Once we do put that in, we'll have to give up this sprayer, but that herbicide will go even further then. It could be that we don't need any other herbicide for the rest of the game, potentially. I guess it depends how long we're on here. All right, well, I think that's been enough time for the picture-in-picture to run its course. I'm going to get this field finished up, and we are going to come up with a plan. We'll see if there are any other contracts have come in. And so I guess we'll meet you back at the shop, and we'll get organized for whatever comes next. So we'll see you in a little bit. Well, we're back at the shop. This is where I had the truck parked and where I first noticed it was creeping. It just about was ready to go over this cliff here. I had caught it just in time. So I definitely have it disconnected. Anyways, let's go in and collect on those contracts we just finished. So we did this baling one for 2,000, so we'll collect that. Not a whole lot, but better than nothing. We did the spraying on 17 for nearly 4,000, and the spraying on a 31 for nearly 8,000. All right. So if we go and look at contracts, oh shoot, another fertilizing one showed up. You know what? We are going to gamble here. We're going to accept that one, and we'll go do that one first. And then we are going to accept these two cultivating contracts for nearly 30,000, 28 and change. And if we look, actually, let's look in used first to make sure that there's nothing there. All right. Oops. Kicked me right out. Thank you very much. Let's go into here. Theoretically, we should be able to pull this. It's 180 horsepower. We have 185. Definitely going to struggle on the hills though, but it's our best option, I think, for width for the money. So we are actually going to customize it, I guess. Actually, we just don't need a license plate on there. We're at 76,000. We are going to buy that because if it all goes horribly wrong, then we can sell it and we'll lose less money. So we don't have to pay any financing costs. So if we add nearly 30,000 to that number, we're very close to where we were when we started those other round of contracts. So let's cross our fingers and hopes this works. So let's go run and grab our tractor here, the Mighty Fent. It's not quite a flying Fent yet, but we'll get to that. Oh, yes. There we go. Forgot I had manual transmissions turned on. Actually, we'll turn this HUD on because we are going to look at the map here in just a second and see where the heck we're going. Oh, we were going to do that spraying one first, weren't we? Well, you know what? Let's go figure out if this is going to work first, and then I'll take care of the rest off camera. But I'm curious. Two things. How are you going to make out pulling this with this tractor? And can we actually do cultivating contracts on this map with basically a disc harrow? I don't know. I wanted to map up because I would need to know where... Oh, look at that. Oh, no. 16s, that's the spraying one. But we're headed down this way. We better throw our beacons on. Sorry about that, buddy. That was my fault. Didn't look. Too excited. Yeah, on some maps you can't use a disc harrow for cultivating, and we'll see how our tractor makes out pulling this. We'll stop twice next time. Now, I think, I didn't double check, but I think the max speed for this is 18. So see how we make out there. Oh, I guess we could go into high gear here too. Would help. Get to the field a little faster. Put our map back on. This one coming up right here. I don't think we need this anymore. I'll probably do this just what I call freehand. I don't mind doing cultivating that way. Don't need this. Oh, I do need to see. I want to start in mid-range, something like that. We'll see how that works out for us. All right, let's bump her up. Oh, it didn't like that at all, did it? We'll go to low range here. Oh, 16, 17. You know what? I don't think we'll push it. I think I'm happy with that. We'll see how it makes out going up the hill here. I think I can. I think I can. Geared down for the hill. But you know what? We can work this field crossways, so for a ways, and take most of that hill out of the equation. Oh, we gotta make it around. Okay, close your eyes. Didn't quite make it. Well, it doesn't like it. That's what I was finding in automatic, that you know, it would stop like that, and then it'd be going back and forth between gears. Must be a, yeah, it looks like there's a slight uphill this way too. So maybe 12 is the best we're going to make out at right now. Well, we are running out of time, so I can make this work. I can live with 12 if that's the best we can manage. But I will get these cultivating contracts done in that one fertilizing one, and I'll meet you back at the shop again. We'll see what time of day we're at, and if we have time to do anything else. So I'll see you in just a second for you guys. As you can tell, it's going to be a little while here for me. So see you in a bit. Well, we're back at the shop again. We have another set of completed contracts that we can collect. So it was fertilizing here on field 16 for 4,000, and then the two cultivating ones, field 15 for 12,600, and field 25 for, well, nearly 17,000. So if we look at our bank balance there, 67,000, not too shabby. And we have a new cultivator to boot. Well, it's 4 o'clock or after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It looks like we've got a fair bit of daylight still left. And if we look here at the contracts, there is another nice fertilizing contract. So I'm going to take that. There is Come on, back up. A nice plowing contract here. I'm going to accept that one. And there is a big spraying contract. So I am going to do that one. I'm just going to do these off camera, and then I'll do a little recording of the collecting of the contracts and where our balance is. And I'm just going to run for the rest of the episode that way. I want to use up all the daylight hours, but we've pretty much used up the majority of our recording time available. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish off the day here with whatever contracts pop up. I will show you what we do, and but it'll just be a brief little recording, and we will meet you when we're ready to sign off for the day and move in tomorrow. So we'll see you a little bit later. Well, we have come to the end of the day and this month here on Maizy Lou Farms. We have accomplished a lot, but do keep in mind that I adjusted the time so that we had as much time to do contracts here in August as we are going to have in the following months, where we have it set up for 4-day months. But we do have a couple last contracts that we can collect on. I did a fertilizing one here for nearly $4,000 and a hoeing one for $3,500. And now that takes our money up to $137,000. So that's not a bad place to be. And I have kind of come up with a plan on moving forward. How exactly I'm going to do that will depend on what happens contract-wise next month. So if you want to find out, you're going to have to come back and join me for that. But we are going to call this an episode here. Just before we go, though, I do want to encourage you to go and check out the other content creators that are participating in this challenge. And I have included their links in the comments. And if anybody is watching this and is doing the challenge and they don't see their link in there, just let me know and I will correct that. But for this episode, we are going to leave it there. So if you are still watching, I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see when other content like this lands, why, hit that old notification bell. But for this episode, it's time for Farmer Murphy to climb in his sleeper and catch some slot-eye. So I will leave you there, and we will see you on the next one.